All right, hey, what's up, PTX fam? On this beautiful Monday, September 5th, 2022, at 8 p.m. UTC, where we have our community AMAs every single week, same time, same place in our Discord. I am joined by the greats Bran and CK here on the stage with me. Bran is a little bit out of the country. He might tune in and tune out, and CK can tune in and tune out as well. But of course, this is an AMA that will be filled of a lot of pretty cool updates, a lot of great information for me to put out here, some new developments, some new development, I guess, timelines that we're working on as well. A lot of great things being built up here. If you guys do have any questions along the way, please simply raise your hand to request to speak live or post your questions in the AMA questions channel right above this event tab, and I will answer them live up on this stage. So without further ado, on this Monday, September 5th, the biggest updates that I have going on here are multifold. There's things that I don't even know necessarily if I want to release them just yet, but I probably will anyway because I'll just get excited and do it here. So to start off, kind of on a precedent-based standpoint, let me just pull up my notes because there's a lot of information here to work through. But we're going to start with our phase 2 and then ultimately phase 3 builds that we are working on for the project, right? So I know there's still a variety of different things working. PTX is still obviously the priority. We just need to find a way to incentivize this for the masses. Markets are trash. That's no excuse. We got to keep building and keep preparing for that next hype train, next influx of crypto. If you look at the charts, money has been going out of crypto and not into crypto. So this is a time for us to build and really funnel into our real fundamentals that we've always put onto the priority for all of us here. And then while we're doing that, of course, shout out to everyone here. We have a ton of diamond hands in our community that are letting us build, letting us work, not stressing us out too much about the charts while we continue to try to work on the charts to give them a more positive impact over time. So shout out to each and every one of you as well. We may or may not be getting different listings coming up soon. We've been working our end, trying to get CMC and CoinGecko going. It's a process. It's very hard in general, but it's also very hard for rebase tokens. So hopefully we'll have some good information and get listed on them in the next days or maybe week at most. But like I said, that is very, it's in flux. It's a lot of reliant upon them to just even want to review our application, to be honest. But we've structured it accordingly. We've done what we need to do on our end, bolster the LP, everything that we need to do to make it appealing to them to list us. Ideally, we can get listed up on there. So next, we are contracting several, right? So we have the solar team working continuously with us, maintenance, development, all that good stuff as well. And now we have some more things working. The original decks that we had built should be done in the next couple of days. And then ideally, I could start bringing that live in the near future. I want to go through multiple tests. I want to go through our team beta test so we know if there's any kinks involved and really allow us to function onto there. And that'll be like a stepping stone because we have another contractor who's going to end up building us a much more complex decks that can host everything from our NFTs to quite a bit more, a very advanced lottery system that isn't like any of the lotteries that are currently out there that feeds off of the DEX tokenomics directly. So there's always money going into the lottery no matter what. So it's a pretty cool mechanism with that end as well. There'll also be a platform for us to host these NFTs where they can be minted right from there. The users who own the NFTs can go right in and claim their rewards, which will not be in PTX. It'll be in a increasing asset over time, which is a pretty cool development that we have going on. We have had, in the last 2 days, we have created and given the totality for a wrapped PTX token. So once I can, effectively fund an LP for that, I will launch that as well. And there'll be a very easy platform within the DEX to wrap and unwrap. No fee associated with that. You can just wrap your tokens. For those who are not too spun up on what these wrapped rebase tokens do, basically, let's say you own one wrapped PTX. Within that WPTX token, your PTX will still be rebasing at a rate that it currently is, right? So we will have another couple weeks of this 1.77% before it goes down to 1.59, et cetera percent. But within that token, the wrapped token, your rebases continue, but your wrapped value stays the same. So you'll still have that same amount of wrapped tokens as the other token continues to rebase. That is very important for a magnitude of different elements, especially in the long term, as we start thinking about, hey, if we want to get listed on a centralized exchange eventually, we cannot have a rebasing token. They will not look at it. They don't want it. But you can have a wrap token. You can have a whatever. So you could start implementing those things in the long term, and then we can utilize this wrap token a lot in the near term. It was not very costly at all to build. And also, even more so important, we developed alongside of the wrap token a contract that'll eliminate those, 3 or 4 little sales that come with every buy or sell, and it'll instead make it just one. And all that does is once the wrap token is bought or sold, it'll forward it to one contract address, and then from there, it'll distribute the taxes as it needs to. So that is the, latest that we've just done here. And then now what we just wanted to contract and building. The NFTs are actively under build, and they can be done probably soon. If you hear my German Shepherd in the background, I do apologize. He is a little whiny, but he's also excited to be in here with me. He just wants my attention, so shout out to him as well. But we will have these NFTs that we released in the medium. I did change the name of the OG to the Wanderer Passage, but the tokenomics remained the same. The only difference that we will see, and this is another thing that we just developed here in the last 24 hours, is that there will be a token that's similar to how like XUSD runs and how a variety of others out there have created, for which there is so you'll receive this token that's backed entirely by BUSD. So in order to obtain this token, you send BNB to the contract, and then it gives you back this token. Now to sell this token, you send it to yourself, and it distributes BNB back to you. I think either BNB or BUSD. I forget how it's kind of written up there, but I'll distribute that to you. What is this token, though? How is it working? So generally speaking, you will have a buy, sale, and transfer tax associated with the token itself. This will be, we will call it PUSD, ProtocolX USD. So with this, there's a 2% buy, sell, and transfer tax. 100% of that tax goes into the burning of the token. So anytime the token is bought, it does an automatic mint plus the burn. Anytime the token is sold, it does an automatic burn plus the burn. So at any given transaction, buy or sell with this token, it'll appreciate in value constantly. It will always be appreciating no matter what. So we're going to incorporate that into everything in our ecosystem here, because it is it's our personal development for our project as a PUSD token. So the NFTs, you will be claiming those tokens. You could sell them. You can do whatever you want for them. It does not impact PTX price. It's actually very encouraging, because if you want to hold on to them, they increase in value over time. That's your choice. You could sell them, you could hold them, you could do whatever you want with them, but they're an appreciating asset coming from your NFTs. And it'll also be linked to the farms. So it'll be that ecosystem tying in that PUSD token, all still directly correlated to PTX and ProtocolX as a whole, just the ecosystem feeding all through each other, of course. The other thing that I want to go into, and this, I don't know how much more I want to keep going, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. The NFTs that are in production, they will have some additional benefits than even what I had in the white paper. So right now in the white paper, they have the allocation of those buy and sales tax, of course, right? So that's what the incentive to buying them is, that they will, the portion of the buy and sales tax comes from the PTX token, and it goes back into the X share pool, which then is allowed to be claimed by those who own those X shares, right? So we've expanded it. What if, worst case scenario, PTX doesn't have a lot of volume in 1 month or 1 day or 1 week? What is still going to encourage you to get rewards? So the way that I'm going to design this system is say, hey, because these are valued at 1 BNB, I have to be able to bring value to these NFTs and to those who own them, right? So to do all that, immediately once I get these NFTs minted, 100% of the money that goes in the NFT mints is going to go back into the protocol. It's going to go back in the essence of the trading bots. I think probably at least 90 to 95%, if not 100%. That's kind of what I'd like to do, is have 100% of the mint go into the trading bots. From there, I'm going to have it structured a little bit differently, so that there's going to be a percentage that goes to those who own the NFTs. At least 50% will go right back to that same pool that allows you to claim more. So now your incentive to buy is literally you are getting these trading bot access via the purchase of the NFTs to an extent, plus the sales, buy and sales tax. You don't have to choose, pick or choose. You get your cake and eat it too in this essence here, which is exciting for me. That takes it literally 100% Ponzi economic basis, and all it is an accumulation of the ecosystem, which is fantastic. So there'll be an allocation, at least 50% going directly to the pool that is funding the XShare wallet or the XShare pool. there'll be probably about a 30%. So here's the things that I'm thinking of: 50% to the X share pool, 30% back compounded into the bot so they can continue to grow and work over time. And then how did I work that out? That is 80%. Then, okay, 10% to the treasury and 10% to boost our LMS because we still have to get that live too, right? So that gives us another funding mechanism to boost the LMS, to boost the treasury, to boost the value of your NFTs, and also allow them to increase over time because of the 30% of profits being compounded back into the trading bots themselves. So it's an entirely self-sufficient ecosystem that is growing over time, literally built into the system itself. And that is what is gets me really hyped up about these NFTs. I think they're going to be a pretty cool adaptation. Go ahead, man.
Neil, you're getting really excited. If no one could tell, I could just see your voice speeding up as you were saying all that. But yeah, no, it's extremely exciting. One thing I just wanted to say, a few people have just mentioned in chat, everything circles PTX, right? Now, the whole point of expanding an ecosystem is to grow PTX. The whole reason of introducing wrap PTX. So then not only can you wrap your PTX, when you can stake it as such. So not only are you getting one form of passive income, you're getting two. Now, the best reason for this is, don't forget, one thing that Shiv actually didn't mention, we just got an update not too long ago. The X keys contract is already built. Now, just a reminder on what X keys are. So X keys, in essence, are what you're going to use to upgrade your X shares. So the only way to upgrade your X shares, remember, is to use PTX. So not only have you now got a revenue system where you can either stake your PTX or just hold your PTX, or you can wrap your PTX, but you can also use your PTX to buy X keys. Now, I'll let Shiv go into it a little bit more, but another piece of alpha is our lottery system, which is currently underway also. Now, that lottery system will be directly used with X keys. So not only do you have a way of upgrading your X keys with PTX, you also have a way of earning more X keys through the lottery system. So if you are a small holder, right, and you can only afford, say, hey, a couple of X keys, which is quite normal, right? And you can go, well, I can't afford to upgrade my, X share yet. I'm still stuck on an uncommon or a common. You can then just enter the lottery system. Hey, you might be the lucky one. But what we're building here, in essence, is, and one thing that we've learned from other projects, right, is that you don't want to make every individual aspect of the protocol better than the other. What you want to have is the king. So let's be honest here, the king of the project is PTX, right? That's why everyone's here right now. And I think one big mistake that a lot of protocols make is directly focusing too much on making the next thing better, whether it be for a pre-sale raise, whether it be for funding more money into the ecosystem, right? But realistically, the way that ProtocolX is going to make money is external revenue sources and by PTX, having them holders, having that volume. So the thing that is best for us is, hey, how can we generate more volume for PTX, right? Now, all of these things that Shiv has mentioned all come back to PTX. And that's one thing I don't want people to lose sight on, is going, hey, you guys are building so much of so-and-so. How does it benefit us? Like, why are we holding PTX if it doesn't benefit us? And that's one thing that we learned from other projects that we were involved in personally, right? We were holding, X token, not going to say any names, and then they drop the next shiny thing, and you're like, well, I'm stuck with this now. The other one's pumping, and I'm losing money. So what we want to do is, introduce things that have a direct benefit. So people go, hey, I want to earn that. I want to work towards that, but I don't want to sell my PTX for it. And I think that's one major thing a lot of projects overlook. A lot of projects really prioritize raising funds and launching another token and saying, hey, well, this token's quieting down. Let's launch another token and run a pre-sale for it. That's not what we want to do. In essence, PUSD, which is, a direct fork of XUSD, which we're going to interpret differently. I think a lot of times in this space, people, somewhat claim these ideas as their own, but we're going to be transparent about that, right? XUSD and CERD is a great project. Mark, a great developer himself. Now, what we're going to do is use that base. So the base, I've spoken about this in a few AMAs, right? Where you can have 50 rebase projects, but it doesn't mean they're all going in the same direction, right? So use that base of that appreciated stablecoin and integrate that into a rebase token like it's never been done before. Now, already in our ecosystem, we've got that platform where you can wrap the PTX. Okay, that's been done before. but there's never been a way to use a rebase token to directly upgrade a revenue source or directly use that rebase instead of saying, hey, I want to sell it to enter into a lottery system using X keys. Now, what that does, it directly brings traffic to PTX, right? Because yes, you have to use BNB to buy the base NFT, but the only way to upgrade it is by using PTX. Now, as Shib already said, we're only just shy of 2 weeks into this build, and already we're adding more and more revenue sources and things that aren't even on the roadmap. And that's one thing I want to highlight. If a project is directly running through their roadmap without adding extra steps, then that's something to be worried about, in my opinion. I mean, between the team behind the scenes, I think every week there's 50 new ideas. Every week there's new ways that we can bring value. But what we need to focus on is not losing track of PTX. And that's why exactly everything, even down to a small thing like an X key, still you need to be a PTX holder to get an X key. To earn PUSD, you need to be an X shareholder, but to upgrade your X share, you need to own PTX. To get wrap PTX, you need to buy PTX. So the ecosystem is running in a way where, as Shib said, one, it becomes self-sufficient, and B, you do need to be a PTX holder. You do, to get the full, of course you could just buy a common NFT, right? But to actually gain access to the entirety, you have to be a holder. Now, that's one thing that we're really, really excited for, right? Is growing this ecosystem in ways that benefits you guys. We could easily sit here and go, let's run a pre-sale for this and say, hey, you guys, we're launching this, buy it, let's get more money, right? But there's no need for that. What we need to do now is focus on building for this current, build that we've got going on. I mean, we're already building phase 2 and 3. We just started phase 1. And we've still got so many things working on, such as, we're looking to build a brand new website, completely rebuild the website, completely rebuild the current D app we've got. So there's so many things that we're working on in the background that, hey, just because we're not, bubbly in chat or this, it's because we're busy. I mean, as you may know, I've been on vacation myself at the current time, but in the background, the entire team is still on it 24/7, until 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. Constantly. And, it just goes to show with the introduction of PUSD and, the X keys contracts already being done and the X swaps being built and the entire interface for the, X shares is being built. Because that was one thing I was worried about. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I go on a tangent, right? Is that with the X shares, I want to try and make it as interactive as possible. It's very easy to just have, basic DApp, but what we want to do is we want to evolve, right? We want to create things that we can expand from. If you've been in any of our past AMAs, we don't like setting limitations. And that's exactly why we was able to implement PUSD and, wrapped PTX, because we didn't set them limitations. So if we do expand into gamification, we've got a solid platform we can build off of, right? Somewhere where everything's all in one place. You don't have to get redirected to multiple places to buy, etc., etc. But yeah, in a nutshell, we've got so much going on. We're hoping CoinMarketCap will come. If you know, you know. CoinGecko, if you know, you know. And so many more things are being worked on. As for marketing, I'll quickly answer that question before I pass it back to Shib. It's happening. It's happening. You need to get on these basic platforms, otherwise you're just, peeing money into the wind, right? We could sit here and spend $50,000 on a YouTube video or 3 YouTube videos and it'd have little effect. We have ideas based around marketing, although we do need the volume, obviously, to get on these platforms and then expand from there. But the marketing is coming. But at this current time, we're more focused on actually building products, not diluting the market, and actually releasing all these products in a strategic fashion where we're not just shooting all of our bullets in week 1 and saying, hey guys, here's 50 new things. And everyone's like, well, what do I do with all of this? I haven't accumulated enough PTX in a week to do any of this. So it gives the long-term holders things to look forward to. You guys who are here today, who are holding, there's these things in the work. Everything we've said today, anything that we've announced is already being built. There's no going back. It's not like we're going to change our minds. It's already being built. It's not like a plan. It's not like an idea. They're coming. So that is obviously just 2 weeks in. That's the updates we have for you guys. So things are moving. The own dex is coming. Stablecoin, appreciating stablecoin, should I say? That if you're familiar with XUSD, that price will. I'm not going to say never go down, right? I've learned from if you've been in the space a while, you don't use that term, but it's designed to appreciate. Essentially, theoretically, never meant to go down in price, right? So yeah, we're looking forward to that. We can use that to host on our own XSwap, so that will be appreciating liquidity as well. But yeah, I'll pass the mic back to Shiv because I've been rambling for about 15 minutes now. But super exciting stuff, a lot of work going on in the background, and yeah, I'm very, very excited as well.
Heck yeah, thank you for all that. I'll have more to go into, but I'm going to bring up the question distributor area. Whenever you'd like to come up, you can come up live. I will answer whatever you got on there, start going through the community questions. I do have more that I want to go into as well, but I'll just kind of do them back and forth if you do want to come up. But if not, okay, there you are. Hey, how's it going, man?
All right. So I have questions for Shiv. Brand's on vacation. I've stacked up his questions for later. Buddy, feel free to answer if you want. So,
Sorry, I'm just going to cut in quickly. I do need to make a run. My signal is dropping. So thank you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be here, but next week and on the Friday AMA, I'll be there all day. But yeah, thank you guys. And if you've got any questions, ping me in chat. I'll be in chat. But yeah, sorry, Ari, take it away.
oh, for sure, I'll ping you in chat. You know it. But so what I was wondering to the remaining people is why are we making a stable coin?
Yeah, so the question or the answer to that is kind of, simpler than it might seem, right? So if we have this coin that appreciates in value, it allows us to introduce this to the ecosystem and then implement it into our ecosystem. So instead of our NFTs just paying out in BNB, for example, they can pay out in the stable coin that'll appreciate over time, at least designed by the tokenomics. Why would I want to do that? Well, if you want to encourage yourself to make more money, you can claim and then you just hang on to those tokens because the value of them increases every time somebody buys and sells, which will effectively be happening every time there's a new claim or a new mint or anything inserted into the pool that is contractually selling BNB for that PUSD and then sending it to the contract that it needs to. So it's an appreciating asset. It's a way for people to say, hey, this is a pretty simplistic reward system. It's an element that we can incorporate not just with the NFTs, but also throughout the farming kind of mechanisms. And it would be cool to introduce like our XSwap token paired with this kind of token. So instead of pairing it with an LP of BUSD, for example, you can pair it with PUSD, and then that allows it to ideally have some appreciating variables to it, especially with a farm token that inherently is designed to farm and obviously be sold at some point, right? So it helps us out quite a bit in the ecosystem, the short term and the long term.
Is this token asset backed or algorithmic?
It'll be algorithmic backed to an extent. So the way these work, let me go look at the dev's explanation so that I'm not fumbling that around. So give me just 1 second so I don't misquote what's happening there. Okay, so pretend that there is 1,000 of the BUSD in circulation, and with each one it's backed by $1 at any given time. So it's $1 back to it. So that would be 1,000 BUSD in backing. So the current price is 1,000 of the PUSD divided by 1,000 of BUSD, which is $1, right? And then now, Ari, you go out and you buy $1,000 worth of this token. There is a buy tax of 2%, which goes then back to the backing of PUSD. And then the smart contract mints that $1,000 times 98%. So that would be 980 PUSD tokens. And then you receive that 980 PUSD tokens. So now there is 1,980 in total circulation, and the backing would be $2,000. So that price now is 2,000 over 1,980, which would bring it up to like 1.005 if my math is doing my brain right. And then same thing is with the sales. So it'll mint tokens when you buy them, and then it burns tokens when you sell them. So it takes that tax into a consideration. There's no more circulating supply than is directly needed. There's no liquidity pool that I need to establish this. It is the people through buys and sales that directly incorporate the price movement of this token.
So does that mean that continuous sales could bring the price of the token below $1?
So if they were to sell, since there's no pre-sale, it kind of wouldn't really in this sense because there's no like free minted tokens. It would just burn to the point that it would then create that price appreciation.
Nice. I like it when it increases on both ends.
Yeah, correct there. And if you want me to go through the sales explanation, kind of like I did the buy, I can do that as well if that clarifies it.
No, I think there's just the general ideas the entire crypto community has dealt with the whole Luna scandal and all that going down. So belief in algorithmic backed stablecoins is a bit few and far between. So that's why I wanted to ask outright.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is, and it's certainly not designed like Luna and Anchor, which is what was printing too many new tokens and a lot of loans, a lot of nonsense on that front. So we are not that. So-
So publicly, do you have any information on what the particular dev teams are working on?
yeah, so right now we have Solar.
Which team does what? Kind of, I guess maybe not less of a like Solar does this, Solar does that, but more like these two projects are currently being in development kind of idea.
All right, perfect. So right now we have in active development. Let me pull up the exact itinerary as well. Okay, so we have the, let me scroll up to the build. Okay, so right now we have all of the NFT contracts in development. We have the XKey contract already developed. We have PUSD and wrapped PTX already developed. We have the contract side for our advanced XSwap exchange in development, and we have the contract side for the lottery, including a proxy contract generator and then a clone to that as well, and already in development as well. And then I have my less kind of, less advanced exchange in the beta test phase currently. So that'll be like XSwap version 1.0, and then we'll have a version 2.0 that'll be a bit more complex. That'll come out a little down the road. So all of those are either developed or actively in development. And then those that I just listed where they're actively in development, we'll get all the contracts done, and then I'll kind of assess, hey, the front end side of it, do we want to roll with this same team? Do we want to let Solar kind of work on that? So all that will be integrated at the back part of this there, but we'll get the contract set up for it now. So they're already in progress.
So
You might have cut out there, man, if you are talking.
I noticed that there's also a lot of general partnerships going on. They're being announced. Are those for more of publicity, or are they also providing some sort of return similar to the development teams?
Yeah, so there is an element of mutual networking with each and every one there, but several of the partnerships are direct partnerships. Like Ego, we use their trading bot, for example. ChainBet, we are using their betting platform. Monte Carlo, we're using their betting platform. Spring, we're using their e-commerce platform. So with all those different elements, those are my direct partnerships. Solar is obviously a development team, our lead dev team. Sure, I'm partnered with them through the DEX, so we facilitate KYCs for any of those who are listed on our exchange. So there's a lot of direct partnerships. A couple of them are network only based, like Avion is a networking only kind of one for now. They're setting up, I think, some sort of referral system that we might be able to work on, and at least it'll maybe incentivize some return to the treasury. But there's a little bit of both. I like the direct partnerships a bit more. I think they're more tangible and they feel more real and less gimmicky. So a little bit of both, but ideally most of them are direct partnerships, either already been like implemented or will be in the coming weeks here with Spring and Chainbed and stuff like that.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'll let other people talk to and come up with any questions, and we'll see. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Good talking to you. All right, so let's see here. There was something else on my mind. I'll just kind of re-hit what Brand was going to before. So I know people are going to get all amped up and excited about the NFTs because I'm pretty amped up and excited about the NFTs, and that's a great thing. But I do want to highlight what Brand was getting at is PTX is the foundation of this whole thing that we're building here. So the buy and sell tax associated with that, everything that we're doing involving these new builds directly benefits PTX and indirectly benefits PTX. So in order to get the highest tier of the NFTs, you have to burn PTX tokens. How does that benefit? Well, quite simply, either you're buying and burning them or you're burning rebases, so there won't be sales associated with it. The X keys, I can almost guarantee you the lottery that we're developing will be people will want to use it, unlike many of the lotteries out in the space, because the tokenomics of this lottery literally have not been done before. It feeds directly off of the DEX itself, which it's exciting. It actually makes no real Ponzi economic base, just off of volume and general standing of the DEX, of course, which most of which will be, of course, again, through PTX and wrap PTX, right? And all those things there. But then we also have the elements where now you can trade in your PTX for the X keys and it burns them even further, which of course allows for those tokens to be removed from circulation and then never to be sold again, right? So there's a variety of different elements there. We will also be introducing a kind of like a bond mechanism where you can lock different tokens for a certain period of time. That'll be primarily with the native DEX token of XSwap, and there'll be a variety of different dates that you could use for there. But I am exploring how I can better use that for like wrap PTX and PTX in general. But I'm still kind of working through that with the dev team, see how we can orchestrate that effectively. So there's a lot going on, but it all ties back to PTX. The idea here is to bring value to the ecosystem, to make this token something that does appreciate in value, maybe not in a necessarily one-for-one, day-to-day sense, but over time, that the mechanisms going in to get behind this token make it inherently more valuable over the days, weeks, months, years, etc. from there, especially by the time we get down to the 0.5% daily APR. That really allows us to affect our burn strategy very, very strongly, which will be great. So I look forward to even that year mark where we can just be working on the 0.5% daily ROI, which I think is very practical to keep into a sense. It allows us to also bolster our LMS through the NFTs, which, by the way, goes right back to the PTX fund, right? So as we're putting more money into that fund that are external from the buys and sales associated with the LMS bot itself, we are then further increasing the sustainability variables of the PTX token. So that is what I don't want people to get worried. We're not abandoning the token by any means. We're just simply expanding the ecosystem, which is what I love to do here and kind of get this thing working on all elements. So lots of great information as well. So without further ado, I'll start going through some questions here in the AMA questions channel. If you guys do have any questions, simply type away in that AMA questions channel or raise your hand to request to speak, and I will go over them with you. I know I've kind of put out a ton of good information. I'll put it all down on paper in a sense where you'll have a written explanation of what these things are doing here in the next day or so. That way we can get all that visualized. And then ideally we'll get some infographics made. I don't know if Wax is in here, but we'll work with Wax, get some infographics made, and make it nice and clear for everyone to observe and see what we're going on there. All right, so let me kind of go back here. Go back to the first question. Okay, from Go Free Man. But is that trading bot really that good that it will generate profits? Yes, it will likely generate profits, but nothing's a guarantee. I can't promise you that it's going to do 1%, 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%, minus 100%. I can't promise you these things. But what I can promise you is that this is not Ponzi economic based, right? I'm not requiring on people to buy into this product in order for me to facilitate the growth of the product. So with us allowing these bots to work as they do, we backtest thoroughly. We vet everything we do, including the Ego one and every other one that we utilize, and say, hey, these have the best chances of bringing profits on a month-to-month basis on a variety of different levels. Could it go negative? Of course. That's totally possible, but when it does, it's not going to impact you. I'm not going to take your minus 5% or whatever that it would have done a month. But when it does 30%, immediately half of that's going to benefit you directly, or whatever case in the sense where we're doing burns, we're doing builds, we're doing growth, whatever the case might be. It is designed to benefit you on a real tangible level. and I personally invest in them. I think they're maybe an underappreciated thing of DeFi because they're not, you know, 2% a day, or they're not super flashy. And quite frankly, you do lose on them. You know, in a lot of these projects, and ours, for example, you gain 1.77% per day. Your token is never going to have a day where it goes down by 0.5%, except maybe in the value, but the token mints won't, right? So it's hard for people to put their brain around, hey, the bot over the course of 6 months and a year and multiple years is very likely to be way ahead compared to where we are now, which will be no money coming in if we didn't have any of these money going into the trading bots to work for us. So I believe in them. I think that is a principal aspect of what our protocol is. And that's why the 30 plus AMAs that we did in pre-sale all highlighted that by quite a bit. All right, so next question from just checking through, from Sunny Siege. With the LMS thing, is there a certain purchasing power percent in comparison to LP? For example, how many projects have an LP to cover 10% of market cap? Well, in our case, we want to cover 10% of market cap in LP. What is the LMS compared to the LP? So that is a little bit of a different formula than I think how it necessarily works. But ideally, the more percentage that are in that liquidity management pool, the better, right? So if it was 100%, that would be fantastic, right? If we were able to back the LP by 100% of the LMS, that'd be great. But why would I set a precursor? I don't want it to just be 10%. I don't want it to be 100%. I want it to be 300%. I just want it to grow. And if it's growing via the token price action and growing via our investments, putting more money into it, that's what I want it to be doing so that we can effectively, better assure the appreciating asset value over time with the LMS, which is what this is what I want to do. Like I kind of mentioned all the AMAs, I do want a rising floor kind of theory to the project over time, and that'll be what will allow me to do that there, is bring money not just from the tokenomics, but also from the external revenue sources that we have working. All right, so next question here. Yeah, the buys and sells, I'm not going to go a whole lot into that. We'll kind of go into that later. It's not impacting price, so no stress about any of that. Next question from OX, Clown Style. PUSD would be pegged to USD using BUSD. If you trust BUSD won't lose its peg, then you're okay. True. Question, would there be incentives to swap between PTX and PUSD? Will maybe a reduced tax from the PTX side? So potentially, but not directly. I don't really want to encourage people to want to sell PTX in order to obtain another piece of the protocol, right? That's kind of where Titan failed. They said, hey, look at all these shiny objects. Go put money into them, please. But as you were doing that, you were selling the Titan token and it was impacting the price of Titan. That's what we do not want to be happening there, in a sense. So it is up to us to incentivize that in a variety of different ways. That's why I'm directly linking it to the farming aspect, the staking aspect, as well as the NFTs, and allow that to naturally grow it. If we can do another introduction that'll allow a mechanism, ideally this is what I'd prefer, to be able to stake or otherwise interact with or lock, for example, on a bond, wrap PTX, and then inherently get PUSD back. Now, maybe there'll be some selling pressure involved in that. That's possible. But in a sense, I want to try to develop that in a way that encourages people to say, if you want to, let's say you don't want to sell PTX, but you want to be able to take profits. If you can lock your tokens for, 1 month, and you get paid out in something else during that period of time because they're locked and they cannot be sold, that's what I want to encourage people to do, where it allows you to take some profits without necessarily directly or significantly impacting the token. And even if it does create a sale pressure, maybe that's a way for me to say, hey, those who invested heavily into the project, instead of dumping because they don't find a way to get out, they could say, okay, cool. I believe in the LMS system. I believe in what they have working for the sustainability variables. I'll just lock my tokens for whatever, a year, and I'll just keep selling what is coming out from it. Right, and maybe the contracts are selling it. Who knows what the case might be? I got to work with the devs on that. But that allows them to kind of develop an income over time without really hurting the PTX token itself, which is where most go down. If a whale sells a full bag, it's a problem. If a whale sells rebases, usually not a problem, right? So if we could find a middle ground between there, and incorporate some of these additional developments that we've gone into, and then we will go into all that, and we can kind of piece that together from there. All right, so next question from A Money Sign B. Is it algorithmic stablecoin? Yeah, we just went into that with Ari. So OX Clown, you are right, is 100% backed by BUSD. I believe in BUSD. I like BUSD as a stable token. I guess if it were to depeg, that would be a problem, right? So, but we are, if BUSD depegs, we're in another major issues in the markets, and usually it will repeg. Only one that really didn't, as far as the major ones went, was UST, and that really wasn't backed by anything. That was just a over mint and then over leverage. Okay, next question from JBoy 70,000. Let me make sure no one's raising their hand. Sweet. Is a PTX a stable coin? It is not. So PTX is a rebase token. I would highly recommend reading over our white paper there. PTX has a variety of different built-in mechanics to help with sustainability variables, and that allows you to ideally get rebase tokens over time. It's basically an auto compounding token. So you buy PTX, it's in your wallet, and each day you get more tokens just for holding those tokens in your wallet. That's how the PTX token works, but it's not backed to a certain stable coin value. It can definitely fluctuate with buys and sells in the market. All right, so next question from Sony Siege. Okay, Shib, with this vision, what are you going after? What would be the most ideal strategy to make the most money as a holder in theory? Okay, so we all know that I will never tell people exactly what to do in any capacity. That's not my job to advise people, but it's my job to try to explain these different things in order for you guys to make a educated and informative decision on what you do, right? So if you believe in the strategies that we've laid out for PTX, then getting PTX is the play, in my opinion, right? If these things work, if you believe that they're going to work how we're saying that they're going to work, then getting PTX would be a good idea. Then you can also exchange it for the X coins the X keys, and you can kind of increase your different holdings via the lottery or upgrade NFTs and all that good stuff from there. And you can also participate in relatively lucrative staking and farming platforms. So all of that could be going on with the PTX token. I have a lot of built-in burn mechanics to help that out over time. I will, very much so back the liquidity management pool to help it over time. I can't guarantee what the price is going to be in 12 months. If I could, then I'd be a fortune teller and I probably wouldn't be here with you guys. So I can't do that, but I can say that's a great thing. If you are maybe a little bit iffy about rebase tokens, then the NFTs are amazing. The tokenomics of them, I believe, are pretty dang sound, personally, right? They're not very expensive. One BNB for one is anyone, not everybody is going to be able to afford it. I don't want to, class segregate people or whatever that might be, but it's generally affordable for the public, right? So I'm not making them 20 BNB. They're not worth 10 grand or whatever. They're a couple $100 to get into, and then they're a genuine non-Ponzi economic based passive income NFT. If you like that and you want to play that game, then that is perfect. Wait for those to get brought out here, ideally in the next month or so, and then you can start playing in that aspect. If you want to do both, because you can upgrade your NFTs with PTX via the X keys, and you get PTX now, you let them rebase for a while, and then you upgrade your NFTs to get a higher percentage of the reward. So a lot of good stuff there, but that is ideally what's going on with those variety of the difference of the ecosystem. I want it to be easy to explain to everybody and really appeal to different kinds of people. So if you like the rebase, I want this to be for you. If you like the NFTs, I want this to be for you. If you like farms, etc., I want this to be incentivized that you want to use it, not that I'm begging you to use it or anything like that. And that allows us to kind of really have an ecosystem that appeals to the broad majority. And that's what I'd rather hear, is something that we are ever growing and ever expanding. And quite frankly, the entirety of our build here, if we can get this going and paid for and live in the next couple of months, this will be a very large scale ecosystem that we're going to have. And we have like 400 and some odd holders. So we are here and we are building these things. And we are going to be, quite frankly, way more in depth than the majority of projects that are out there, even the large ones. And we are so tiny. What does that mean? That's up for you to decide. But once we hit either a major influx via CMC listings, or we hit a bull market where we can advertise a little bit better, or we hit our next marketing plans, there could be a lot of expansion opportunity, a lot of growth opportunity for us on a variety of different levels. So get in if you want to. If you believe in that vision like I do and like many of us do here, then that is the case. But I'm not going to tell you guys when to buy, when to sell, yada, yada, yada. That's not really reasonable for me. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. Let me make sure that no one has raised their hand in here. All right, sweet. All right, next question from OX Clown Style. I remember we were going to partner with MDB and use MD Plus for a liquidity pool in the DEX. Does this mean we can now use our own appreciating stablecoin? It does make sense to have our own. Yes, and you guys know I'm overly transparent with you, but I don't want to start any beef, I don't think. So some of the recent discussions, the back and forth that I've had with the team over at MDB, became a little bit less appealing for me to want to engage with. They are, I don't want to like, it is what it is. They're a good project, so I don't want to talk poorly about them. But generally, basically speaking, we were going to establish our secondary LP on our DEX with their token backed. Okay, so that obviously is contingent upon our DEX going live. Well, newsflash, our DEX hasn't gone live yet, right? So it's not here just yet for us to work on. They kept, pinging me saying, hey, let's get this investment going. It's an appreciating asset, yada, yada, yada. And we're talking about 50 grand that I was going to put into this. Okay. And I said, hey man, it's all good. I'm prioritizing different things. We didn't have a crazy amount of volume after the pre-sale. We got to, get our builds going. But once we get this DEX live, we can work it out. No worries. Simple day. They kind of kept pinging me. And I'm like, hey man, once we get that secondary LP, all good. We'll figure it out. And then just a couple of days ago, the tone became more condescending towards me, where it's like, you had the funds and you bolstered your own LP. You should have just done ours. I can only advise on that. I'm like, that's not what we said, right? I wasn't going to use you as a primary LP, yada, yada, yada. Kind of went a little bit back and forth. Then they tried saying that, I don't want to go into it too much. Basically, he said that under pressure, my true face has shown. And I'm like, all right, so we're out of there. So once all that started going on, I don't really want to work with them right now. So what did I do? I hit up DeFi Mark, who made their token. And I said, hey man, what do we got to do? And 3 hours later, literally 3 hours later, we had PUSD and Wrap PTX for $1,500 total. So I call this a win. I'll just put it that way. No hate on them. You guys kind of know my personality. If you're going to play with me, it's not going to work out well. I'll find a way to move forward without you. It just is what it is. So that's what we did. And I think it's going to end up benefiting us in the long term. And you guys know I'm real. It just is what it is. I'm not going to hide from that, but I don't really want to work with that. So easy day. All right, so next question here from X Luke. Is this correct? You wrap PTX to get wrap PTX. WPTX you can stake, lock, and get PUSD rewards, while PTX keeps rebasing and PUSD will always increase in value. So ideally, I want to create some sort of mechanism with that. Right now, the locks are designed for the XSwap token, the native token of the DEX itself. I would like to get some element for which people can either stake, lock, or otherwise utilize wrap PTX to get PUSD. Now, for PUSD to go up in value, it needs to be backed by something. So to lock it, maybe it's almost like a vesting where it sells a little bit over time. And then from there, it allows us to pay out the rewards in PUSD, or else you're just minting tokens without a buy. And that's not good. That could cause a problem. So we'll get a little bit more information out on that. I'm working with a dev to see how clean we can do some of those different elements. And we'll kind of get that going as quick as possible. That's what I want. If I can have something where people can say, hey, I want to stake my wrap PTX, and I want to still be able to sell something for some profit over time, but I don't want to sell all my PTX tokens. That's what I want to get going for you guys. There is find some way to balance that out. Ideally, maybe it's through 3 different ways. Maybe it's from XSwap to wrap PTX, and then or wrap PTX XSwap, then XSwap to PUSD. That might be the play there, but we'll kind of work into that. Maybe I pair a farm of wrap PTX and XSwap and then it sells the new mints from XSwap, and then you get PUSD. That could be a solution if my brain's working right. So there's a few different things that we could look into there to find a way to be able to allow people to profit and take profits without necessarily crashing the token if they don't want to. All right, so next question here from Sony Siege. I think this is a question. Let's see. Binance to auto convert USDC, USDP, TUSD, and BUSD. In your opinion, is this a strategic move by Binance to strengthen their stand in the crypto space? I don't know a whole lot about the backings of that just yet, so I don't really want to speak on what I'm not fully transparent on, but I'm pretty bullish on Binance. That's why we're here today. That's why we launched on BSC, because I like what they're doing. So I'll have to look a little bit more into that, but I'll definitely check that out there and see if I can get an idea of what's going on that aspect. All right, next question here, or maybe not a question, but comment. SFXFox. Not a huge fan of locking tokens. Some projects have locking where you lose 90% if you unstake early. Can you assure the community there'll be no penalties for unstaking tokens? So there will be penalties for unstaking tokens, but it's not going to be crazy high. I think the highest I'll do it is 20%, and that might even be high. But it's not going to be 90% or anything like that. I can sit here and say it won't be over 20% as an early stake penalty, especially if you're locking a token that appreciates over time. I'd rather them would stay locked, right? But it won't be more than 20%, ideally between somewhere 5 and 10%. But I got to play out the tokenomics with the devs and kind of see how that thought process works there. So it will not be 90%. It will not be more than 20%. Ideally a little bit less, but I'm going to try to keep that as fair as possible. All right, next question here. Crypto Midland X. The NFT approach works. I've done this on another Chronos project. They used staking and the rewards were decent. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do with NFTs with a large ecosystem like this. And I've kind of mentioned it early on, but I couldn't promise it until I got these things going. But I want this entire ecosystem to feed into my NFTs. There's only 5,000 of the base ones, right? So they're not able to be sold in the open marketplaces until they're minted out. But let's say, eventually they're going to mint out at some point in the future, right? You're going to have 5,000 BNB working that to make money on the variety of different aspects within the defined tokenomics that I said a little bit ago. And then from there, they're going to be going back to those who own the NFTs. If you want to then sell those NFTs on the open market, well, the compounded back into the NFT funds is what appreciates the values of them over time. So once they're minted out, and then you could finally sell them in the open marketplace, which you cannot do until they're entirely minted out. I want to stress that. Then, of course, their value will likely go up because people will say, hey, look, this money is going up that's coming in that is funding these over time. So ideally, they become not just short-term FOMO kind of things, but they become a long-term, rising floor sort of NFT in the system as well. And they look beautiful and tokenomics are good. And I'm excited about them. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, from OX Clown, and shout out to Mark. Mark is a genius, fast as hell, man. Literally, I was on the phone with him. He was like driving his girlfriend to somewhere, and then he's like, "Hey, I'll be home in a couple hours." 3 hours later, he gives me my contracts. 3 hours from that phone call. Dude is wicked fast. Obviously, he already had them built up, and he could probably make them with his eyes closed because he designed these, right? So it is what it is. But he's a cool dude. And then thanks for being honest. I don't normally see this level of transparency from projects. Yeah, and again, I don't want to start wars, so that was kind of a mild version of what's going on there. But I'm going to be real with you guys. You guys need to know what's going on too. That's what I am here for. Each and every one of you is to make sure you guys know what's going on our end. But I'm not out here trying to fight the world either. So we found a solution, and that's all we can do, right? So something pops up, you find a solution, you move forward. What's going on round 2 of Ari in the house?
All right, time to fight the world. So something that I was wondering is if we go and get if we get PTX, wrap it, then stake it, because the ratio of wrapped PTX to PTX increases, i.e. it's still rebasing, but you're gaining value, not number of wrapped PTX. And then we go and stake it. Does that mean that we're gaining value on both sides?
Yes, I would. So let's just do like a little theoretical. If we had a wrap PTX to XSwap pool, right? So you wrap it wrap PTX, you stake it, and in return you get the farm token of XSwap. So that wrap PTX, you're not giving up anything. It's still rebasing the PTX inside of that wrap token, and then you're also receiving the XSwap tokens for the staked value from there. So you're getting a double win. Why do I do that? One, it encourages people to not have to sell the PTX token. That is what a farm token is designed to do, is to farm with, of course, to work with. So it benefits those who are utilizing it, but also allows us to create a little bit of sustainability with the native PTX token, of course.
Oh, I see. And when are we going to have this wrapped and staking ready?
So that is what I don't quite know just yet. So quite potentially this version 1 of the XSwap that I should have, at least in my in-house beta tomorrow. I've been saying that for way too long, so I don't know if I have total faith in that, but let's just say it does happen tomorrow, and then I can get it live in the next week or two. Ideally, that can incorporate some of those elements. Now, for me to get Wrap PTX going in there, I need to have a liquidity pool for Wrap PTX. From what I understand of the tokenomics, that'll be its own separate LP than PTX, and my PTX is obviously locked, so I cannot remove the liquidity on that to help fund the other one. So I got to be a little bit cautious of when I release that, how I back that liquidity, and then also kind of ask around to say, hey, how strong does that LP of Wrap PTX need to be in a sense? You know what I mean? Because I it's not my expertise either of what that is doing in and of its sense. If it's only housing PTX, then maybe if the LP isn't super strong, all I do is say, hey, instead of buying and selling Wrap PTX, buy PTX, wrap it, engage with Wrap PTX, and then unwrap it, because there's no fees associated for wrapping and unwrapping, and then you can go from there and sell it if you want, of course, without the price impact associated with the low liquidity of Wrap PTX. So that might be a solution, and then I incorporate some farming pools for Wrap PTX, and that'll help boost that liquidity over time. That's what I'm hoping I can do. I need to talk to those who are smarter at it than I am, to make sure that that isn't just an asinine idea, and we can see how that all comes together.
All right. I think there's definitely some good value with that. I think people like the idea of these returns, and also wrapping it. You still get your rebases, but then if you stake it and get some money from it, then you can't sell it, but you're still gaining value. With that said, that's effectively gaining value from nothing. How do you plan on actually getting the value for the PUSD that you're now giving to the community? The money's going to come from nowhere, and if you're just minting it, then that means you have more PUSD versus the backing BUSD, and so won't that destabilize the currency?
Great question. So it won't, because we won't just be minting any of the tokens themselves. So the way it'll work is it'll be entirely BUSD backed. So with the NFT side, for example, the contract is getting BNB and it's selling, or excuse me, it is buying PUSD with BNB from the NFT side. So we're not minting it out of thin air on that end. It's coming right from BNB. On the farming side and on the staking side and all that, it'll be having to sell the farm token in an ideal aspect there, right? So that it's backing it via the sales of that farm token, or if it's a time release, maybe like a vested sales of the PTX or Wrap PTX. Again, I got to work with the dev on that end, but there will be no sense where we will be just free minting tokens, because you can't do that. Just with how the tokenomics work, it will destabilize it. So in any sense, it'll be purchased with BNB, and then it'll be sold or bought with that BUSD backing around every single transaction with it, whether it's engaged with the swaps or with with the farms or with the NFTs or any of that, which we will not just be free minting tokens.
I see. That seems pretty awesome. So, out of curiosity, are there any sort of plans that are coming up to try to attract new holders as opposed to rewarding existing ones with stuff?
Yeah, so all of these are designed to attract new holders and reward new holders, right? So right now we have the rebase crowd here. We don't have a ton of holders in general. So we got to work on some of the marketing side of it. Most of the good marketing out there is done once you're listed on CMC and CoinGecko. If you're not on there, you are trying to use influencers, and you can look at the amount of money that's going in or out of crypto at any given time, and we are way negative. There's so much money pouring out of crypto the last not just several months, but in particular the last couple of weeks. So right now our audience is those within DeFi. That's who we have to market towards directly. Now, once that changes, we have to change our marketing strategy, of course, but right now we need to try to focus on increasing our holders of PTX within the community that is currently operating in DeFi. And there's a variety of different ways to do that. Obviously, the AMAs tend to work. We started doing AMAs, even some that we paid quite a bit for, and there really wasn't a lot of return to them, if any return, to be honest. So now we have to say, hey, do we just want to keep wasting money and just doing things with the hope of success? Or do we want to really strategize it and allow us to be put in a position to best succeed? So then I transition to, let's prioritize our builds. Let's get these things going live. They might not even go live to the public, but I want them. I want them in my hands that I can deploy whenever I want. Because at that point, we're ready to go. We have our ecosystem ready to launch out of the cannon at any time that we need them, right? So then from there, you have the CMC listings that we've been fighting for a couple of weeks. Hopefully we get some good answers. We have a little bit hopeful of today or tomorrow. It's Labor Day, and CMC operates out of like Rhode Island or something. So maybe it won't be today, but I'm kind of hopeful in the next couple of days here. Fingers crossed, I guess. But trying to get that going there so we can push the marketing further into those who are already in crypto. And then once it changes a little bit, we'll start getting those investors from outside of crypto, run the YouTube influencers and the old classics that we saw last year.
All right, good stuff. By the way, regarding NFTs, do NFTs stack? As in, if you buy, two questions. If you buy more of the same tier of NFT, do they add up?
Yeah, so if you own 10 NFTs, you will have 10 individual shares of that percentage of the pool. So it's not going to like increase your variables or anything, but you would have 10 shares of what you have going on there. There's no limit to one per wallet or anything like that. You can own 100 in your wallet, and when you go to claim, you will be getting basically 100 of whatever that fund is per one times 100 brought over to your wallet.
Is there a limit to how many NFTs you can own?
There is no limit to the wallet of NFTs that you can own now.
I see. Something that kind of came up is that there seems to be a lot of assets related to the protocol increasing with every AMA. One question is, will all the assets related to the protocol be shown in the dApp somewhere?
Yeah, so that's a great question that actually Fox just said here in the chat as well. So they will be in the dApp once we get them live. I have my other dev team working on different kind of dApp platforms for each thing. Let me make sure that I'm relaying what he's building correctly. So basically he's going to have it so they're all going to be functional off of our website through our dApp, of course. The NFTs are going to have their own page. The PUSD kind of tokenomics are going to have their own page. Generally, when you're trying to interact with those contracts, you have to send BNB to the contract address to buy it, and it just sends that PUSD to your wallet. And then to sell it, you actually send it to yourself, which is kind of weird, right? So we're trying to build something for which you can just do that with a button on the dApp. So there'll be a dApp page for that. There'll be a dApp page for wrapping your PTX. So it'll all be very, very clean, hosted all on our same website. Probably different tabs, maybe even on the same page with different tabs you select on the side to make it clean and identifiable. But we do want it to be all very easy to interact with, very fluid to kind of navigate through, and then obviously have good descriptions about what they are for each one of them.
Yeah, because that's something that kind of comes to my attention too, is that there's a lot of them at this point. Maybe having some sort of way of converting in between them. Or I would ask that maybe there could be kind of a cool dApp to where you can put in an input currency on one side and then an output currency on another, and just use only ProtocolX currencies, and then maybe BNB to be like the cash out option, and have it be able to tell you, okay, how can you turn one thing into another, or if you just straight can't.
Yeah, that might be a cool idea there. It'll definitely help simplify things for users. I'll kind of see if we can integrate that, or at least some version of that, because like you said, there's a few different elements of the ecosystem, and I don't want it to be confusing, even though there's a lot of parts working. So that would definitely help simplify things.
I just think it'd be kind of cool, kind of like how exchanges have routers and they'll say, "Oh, we're going through these ones." If you create kind of a graph of sorts of how different currencies interconnect with each other, even if that's literally a picture of PTX and then X keys and then PUSD, and have like you can exchange for this stake to earn that kind of thing, so people can realize how they can actually get through, because that's one thing that I went and encountered when I was looking into things such as Drip and originally Charged DeFi, was figuring out, all right, I have all of these currencies that I'm told have value and have utility, but ultimately, let's not kid ourselves. We're eventually trying to get it back to BNB or BUSD to go and sell and take profit, and some obfuscation of where your money's going, how it comes out, may detract investors because they don't realize how they'll eventually be able to get their money out. And any concern about not being able to take your money out, that doesn't mean locking it up, but just not being able to take it out at all, will stop people from wanting to be involved whatsoever because it's just too complicated.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man. So that's a lot of great information. So definitely we got to keep keep that in mind to try to make it transparent, because I've seen that in discords where someone jumps in, they're like, I can't sell, I don't know how to sell, I don't know how to get out, because it's just not clear within the system, or maybe it is clear but they're just not familiar with it. So just some basic mechanism that really allows them, maybe like you said, you just input wrap PTX and you wanted to get it to BNB, and then it says boom, click on this link and it'll bring you to the page you need to go to do that, for example. So that might be something cool. It's kind of like a development side that I'm not overly spun on, but I don't think it's overly complicated by any means.
Yeah, I'll go and talk to Zero off about it if you want.
Hey, no worries, man.
All right, let's see. Um, that's basically all I had to ask for right now.
All right, hey, definitely appreciate your questions, man. So shout out to you for being up here. Okay, bring you back down. Again, if anybody else wants to talk live, simply raise your hand, request to speak, and we will bring you up here live as well. No worries on our end. But if not, just simply put your questions in the AMA Questions channel, and we will answer them from there. I've given a ton of information on this. If you are tuning in late, the first 15 minutes or so were pretty in depth, and maybe I started talking too fast because I'm a Yankee at heart. So once I get excited, I talk super fast. So that's how you know if I'm excited. Shout out to Walks jumping into there. All right, so let me see. Okay, next question here from $B. From where LMS PTX is getting, from Horde or Gosu or from any other? So it's a custom one that Solar is making us. We're not buying it from Horde or any of those other ones out there. From Furniture Guy, any benefits to buying more than one NFT or holding more than one type? Well, if you own 100 NFTs, you get 100 times the amount of rewards that you would get from one NFT. So obviously, the more you get, the more stake, I guess, from that pool that you are receiving, right? So instead of 1 out of 50,000 total, you'd have 2 out of 50,000, 5 out of 50, or excuse me, 5,000, 2 out of 5,000, 10 out of 5,000, whatever you decide to do. And then once you claim them, you get that stake for every single NFT that you own, whether it's 1 or 5,000, right? And if you own different tiers, then of course it does the same. You can just have that better pool from there, and we are all good. All right, so next question here from Fox. Will the assets related to the protocol be shown in the DApp? We kind of talked about it a little bit there, but yes, we will have try to get a clear as day mechanism that we can go. Crypto Midland, there is no limits to how many NFTs you can own. Your heart and your wallet is your own limitation there. Next one there. Sullyzaki, developing a decentralized oracle is deemed a challenging problem. This is due to the possibility of multiple kinds of attacks, such as collusion, takeover, griefing, bribing, etc. Can you explain the ways to understand this as stated in the white paper? Lack of long-term viability. So I guess you're not talking about the tokenomics, but you're talking about the human element of everything, right? So right now, all of our contracts are owned by our multi-sig, which is a 4 out of 7 multi-sig with everybody in there doxed, and 2 of us are KYC'd. Kinsu from Solar and myself are both KYC'd, and then all of us are doxed to the community and elsewhere, right? So there is no real, I guess you could say, what if they bribed 4 people? They compromised 4 of my people to approve a transaction. Well, that would suck, right? That would, I guess, theoretically be possible if somebody really want to go bribe them for $10 million a piece and see if it would work. But that being said, I brought in a team based off of personality and experience, right? So I don't have the senses that they are the type to fold like that. That's not good ethics. If I was worrying about any of my team like that, they would not be on my team. And if I get a sense that one of my team is like that, they will be replaced, including myself. If I start taking bribes, damn right my team better remove me from the situation so they can keep running the protocol, right? That's what we want to do here. Is there should not be anybody compromised emotionally or otherwise, because that's just nonsense. That's ridiculous. All right. $8 I kind of touched on it earlier. We'll go into that more in detail later. It's not impacting price. I'm not going to go a ton into that here. Just making sure that I have covered all the questions. There is, I think, somebody else typing in the AMA questions channel. Make sure no one's in here. We've gone on for an hour and 15 minutes. Fantastic for this Labor Day if you're in the U.S. Ari is currently typing, so I'll let him get some typing out there, of course. Let me make sure that I didn't miss any of the general chat. Sometimes you guys post questions in there. It's kind of hard for me to track. Mediera, I'll get this AMA uploaded here probably a little bit later today. I'm kind of spending the day with the gal for the most part, but I jumped on the AMA, of course, because it's our AMA weekly with the community here. So we'll start kind of going on to that. Flexible, so tough waking up at 6 a.m. and going straight into advanced econ class. Hey, Flex, I am also an econ major from the Penn State University, so shout out to you there. Enjoy it. It is a great field to work in. Next one here. Okay, looks like everything's answered on the general side. Yeah, somebody could offer Ari a bribe, but I would have 100 questions, so they'd probably get bored anyway. What time is the burn tonight? Just whenever. We're going to take them from the treasury and just burn the tokens. We're not buying and burning. We're just going to be burning to remove them from circulation. So I'll put in the transaction in the multi-sig, and once it all gets signed, it'll go right to the mainstream dead wallet. Nenny Raider, kind of creating our own stablecoin, but it's more like an algorithmic-backed appreciating coin. So it's sort of like that, but not a direct $1 to $1 peg. It's backed by BUSD, and then the taxes create an incentive for it to grow over time. So sort of, but not really, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. But while we're doing this here, I'm going to try to also put in this transaction to burn these tokens, because we're going to burn them live with you. 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What do you want to do? 5 million PTX? That sound pretty good? Sounds good to me. Going to put in the transaction. Hopefully it's not 50 million. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 million PTX going right to the mainstream dead wallet. And goodbye. Nobody needs it. Get out of here. 5 million PTX. We'll burn that live on air if it does get approved in time, but probably not, but it will go at some point as well. Clever, we've already talked about marketing quite a bit here. Let's see, $B. Can we expect, what range can we expect from the LMS? ETA, Solar's working on the test now. The range I'm thinking, in my brain, the initial range I'm thinking 0.04 and 0.055. That's really small. It's a pretty tight range, but the contract allows it to go up or down by 30% with just minor sales. I'm kind of working with the dev team over at Solar to get a better idea of how that works. I think 0.04 to 0.055 is my likely point of start. I also answered that last week, and people were concerned that it was below pre-sale. But if we cannot get a backing to the pre-sale value, which we can't if we don't have money in the LMS, that's a moot point. It sucks, but it is what it is. All we can do is protect it here going forward, right? So we got to then implement that increasing floor strategy and really allow it to push up from there. So Nenny Raider will be the price of PUSD. It'll be $1. Okay, Sully, yeah, you can get the Berserker roll back. Let me just do that to you here live. If I could find it, I'll give you that. Boom. Back to Berserker, Sully. You're in. What do you see our market cap to be if price hits $1? So that's very hard to tell. So the market cap formula is circulating supply times token price. So do that for what it is. If our circulating supply, which is currently like 63 million, if it were to be $1 today, then it would be 63 million market cap. Now, is that realistic? I mean, I guess it's possible, but I wouldn't say that's my, tomorrow goal, right? That would take a lot of time, and ideally either a major influx of investors or a major burn effect, right? To the point that I'd be burning more than has ever been minted by investors in general. So those are the two options there. Ideally, we just keep having it rise up and up and up over time, but the market cap is very important. The market cap will go down, by the way, when we burn these 5 million PTX tokens, because simply
it just went through, Shib.
Oh, okay, we already approved it.
Yeah.
Dang, you guys are fast. Well, shout out to the 5 million token burn. RIP to them. So yeah, market cap is going to go down with the burns, which it just did, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. That's perfect. We're not selling those tokens ever anyway, so it is what it is there. All right. Next question from $B. Could LMS be also used for increasing floor? It definitely could be. And that's how I'd like to use it there, is have eventually be able to back the floor price over time to ideally make it so that we have an increasing floor theory. And that takes a lot of work. I don't think that's going to be, a today kind of thing, but it is going to be a thing that I have a high aspirations to, and we will go from there. From Furniture Guy, the door benefits still accurate in white paper. Not only are they still accurate, but you're getting even more benefits, Furniture Guy. So if you were not around at the beginning of the AMA, I dropped some alpha on how I'll be encouraging the price appreciation of those NFTs even further. So whenever they mint, right? So let's just say all 5,000 mint, then that 5,000 BNB, I immediately move over to the trading bots, and then at the minimum, 50% is going to go directly back to the pool that'll be distributed to the NFT holders. So that's immediate money that is going right to you, those who invest into it. Immediate return, right? So 50% goes of the profits go to you guys, and then 30% compound back into itself, 10% go to the treasury, 10% go to backing the LMS. Those are the tokenomics that I have in my head. Could be a little bit subject to change, but that's what I would probably going to run with there, so that it increase those NFTs on a level that is even better than what the white paper currently says.
Oh man, a resident hype man just keeps making things better.
Yeah, hey, what's up again?
Oh, I'm a frequent flyer on this year's stage. I might as well just stick on the stage at this rate. But
yeah, people love you. So
I am the voice of the people, elected by nobody. So, on the note of the NFTs, can you reiterate what action the protocol takes that generates revenue is what is profit shared to the NFT holders?
Yeah, so it's going to go into the trading bot mechanisms that we have now, right? So that's going to be the difference revenue. So you have the buy and the sales tax from the NFTs, of course, that are already built in, already filling up to the XShare wallet. And then those will be obviously that kind of primary funder. That's what I initially was going to have the tokenomics be. Then I said, hey, we need to encourage these NFTs to be more valuable in a direct sense. So from there, you're going to have that buy and sales tax, 3% buy, 3% sales tax that goes to the XShare wallets. That'll be distributed to all the NFT holders. And then you're going to have the entirety of the mint, 100% of the minted money goes into the trading bot in the trading bots, the 5 different strategies that we have here, to start continuously making money for not only the NFTs, but for the protocol. So all of that money immediately goes in. None of it goes to whatever at that point. It doesn't come to the treasury, doesn't go to team, doesn't do anything, goes all into the build. And then from there, of the profits, 50% of the profits from that pool, from that BNB inserted from the NFT mints, goes back to the pool that is distributed to the NFT holders as well. So now they're going to get that buy and sales tax association plus 50% of whatever that allocation of money does in the trading bots from profit. Then 30% of it goes back into the trading bots, compounding back into it, obviously. That creates a system where the trading bot value increases over time, right? So now you still have 30% of profits working to itself. Ideally, 1 year from now, there's a lot more money in there than there would be today. And then 10% goes to the LMS pool backing, and then 10% goes to the treasury. So there will be two direct mechanisms for which are bolstering the rewards to the NFTs via the trade bots themselves, giving 50% of the profits back to them, and also 30% compounding back into the bots, that, of course, of which the profits continue to accumulate for the NFTs. So there's a lot going on there, but it's going to create a real incentive for those over time that is not Ponzi economic based. I'm not promising you 10% a month, 1% a day. I'm not promising you anything, but I can show you what the bots do every single month. I can show you the transactions, so there's 100% certainty of these are what they are doing, and then you guys get that profit generated back from it every single time that we do it. So it's a pretty win-win situation to me. It takes it off Ponzi economic, and it should bring value to the NFTs, ideally for a launch, but also long-term, and that's really my goal here.
All right. From going and looking at the way the NFTs are listed, it's a little bit confusing because it says that the common passage gets a split of 65% of the tax, but then the rare passage gets 10% of the tax. That would imply that the rare gets less. Can you explain?
Yes, I can. So of the, let's see, like 7,623, right? So that's the total amount of NFTs on there. There's 5,000 common NFTs. So you take 5,000 divided by 7623, and that's a proportional rate of 0.655%. So that's the proportional rate that those are from there. So they're getting right at their proportional rate. However, if you take 100 divided by 7623, you get 0.01%. So, or excuse me, by 0.01. So the legendary NFTs account for 1.3% of the total NFTs that'll ever be allowed to be minted, yet they receive 5% of the proportional tax rate. So they are almost 5 times as valuable as the common one on a proportional tax basis.
There may be good value in updating the graphic with some information similar to that, because I'm sure that I'm not the only person who's gotten a bit confused. Even if it's not exactly numeric, it could just be like highest proportion. Well, I guess as it says, highest proportional revenue from taxes. That does answer the question.
Yeah, I could be more clear on it. Sometimes, like, I know that not a lot of people are going to want to even figure out 100 divided by 7623, to be honest. So I should make that cleaner, just because my brain wants to think it as it does not mean everybody's brain wants to think it as they do as well. So yeah, that's actually a great point, so that people understand, hey, I want to upgrade to the rare because it is this percentage of the tax basis, which I could even put that in a line there. So legendary, they account for 1.3% of the total NFTs, and they generate, or they receive 5% of the total X share tax. Just having that in there clears it up, and I think that'd be a lot cleaner for everyone to kind of digest.
Can I have a one of one exclusive legend Ari passage?
Well, I don't know if I have those built, but I guess we will talk when they come up there. But NFTs are fun. You need a what is a role playing game for questioner? I don't know what that is, but you need one of those to come up there. So
On a side and completely unrelated note, what do you think would be the minimum bribe that Kinsey would take to create a custom NFT? Asking for a friend.
honestly, man,
I'm joking.
Kenta and people can make custom NFTs pretty easy. The front end work, you got to get a good design. That's kind of the fun part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a very intelligent conversation, and from looking at the AMA questions, I see a very eloquently and long question that I'll go and ask you now. When NFTs?
Yeah, that is really the most, high level thought process, the one that gets everyone worked up here. So ideally, I personally want to get them out within the next month or so, but we do need to get holders on PTX. And that's kind of what Brown went into before, is he sometimes need to pump the brakes on my little, I guess encouragement, because I think the NFTs are beautiful. I love that idea. I love that aspect. But I still need to get that PTX token rising in value, rising in holders, because that's our foundation. That's our fundamental of this protocol here. So once that kind of gets going there, maybe we hit a bull market in 2 weeks. Doesn't feel like it, but maybe we do. And then we can sell both at the same time. But ideally, I'd like to increase the marketing of PTX, and then alongside of that, co-market the NFTs so that we get new PTX holders, and maybe they're okay just taking their rebases and ultimately using that to get the NFTs. That's cool with me too, to be honest. I'm not going to tell people not to do that, but that's the right way to do it. Because me, I want to get them out today, but the logical, strategic part of me is telling me I should allow it to be a little bit more, slow, methodical, and get it out the right way.
Oh, yes. Well, here's the thing is that people need to also have a good deal of money to be able to buy the NFTs, and being poor sucks. So, a community member was asking, a $B, what is the expected price of PTX in 6 months if everything goes as expected?
Yeah, so it's something that I'm never going to answer what a future value is, because it's not possible. I can't tell you right now if our whales, if none of you guys ever sell and we just do buybacks and burns, the price will go up and up and up. But if, some random whale who got one or two or three pre-sale bags decides to sell right now, how am I going to combat that, right? That's a hard thing to do. So I'm never going to promise what a price is going to be in the future. I can't. I literally cannot do it. That's bad advice. And quite frankly, that would be, in my mind, almost ethically liable if I were to try to do that. But our job is to make an incentive for it to grow over time. And it is a rebase token, so that takes a lot of work. The trading bots did okay this last month. We took a little bit of a negative on the Ego bot, and then we basically broke even on the others. We were up by like $2,000 at the end of the month. So we can't do a ton of buybacks and burns right now. We just physically can't. So it takes a lot of those different elements. If the trading bots decide to do 300% this month, well, then we're going to be in a lot better place than we would be than if it did 5%, right? So a lot of that is relying on different variables that we put in, but it's our job to make it so that there's the most chance of success over time, really allowing it to fund the LMS, which will conduct a buyback mechanism for it as well, try to keep some sustainability variables, and also do our manual buybacks as we can to keep things moving along on our end, and also just bring new investors in to allow people to want to buy the token. So there's a lot of elements to that. I cannot promise what it's going to be tomorrow, let alone in 6 months. Quite frankly, I still wake up every day and I hop on and see what the price is, see if anything happened, because who knows? Our European audience is awake different than the U.S. audience. I need to see if there's any change in the price charts, right? So something I can't answer, but it's our job to make it be more beneficial in 6 months and less beneficial in 6 months. That I can say.
So we can't do buyback and burns, says the guy who just did a 5 million PTX burn.
Yeah, so that wasn't a buyback and burn. That was just burning minted tokens so that they can never be sold.
Okay. Another very insightful and smart individual in the chat asked, "Does AMA stand for Ari Might Ask?"
It is now formally Ari Might Ask on Alpha Mondays. I think that's our two new slogans of today here. So Ari may ask on Alpha Mondays.
Hey.
Oh yeah, so definitely appreciate you, man. Do you have anything else while you're up here?
That's a dangerous question to ask. I of course have more, but I can wait for it later so that you get a bit of a break.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, I've been talking for about an hour and a half, which is beautiful. Quite frankly, I love having these hour, 2 hour AMAs. Generally, it doesn't happen in these kind of markets, but you guys are literally the best. I love seeing that there. Shout out to you. Everyone that's in our chats here. Shout out to you, Ari. Shout out to you, MDP. Shout out to you, Martin. Everyone here that's in here just blowing up the chats. Love you guys every time that we get all this good stuff here.
All right, last question. Is the protocol as a whole open to like other trading bots other than the ones that currently exist, or is it pretty locked in with Ego and etc.?
So Eagle's just one of multiple that I use, but I am definitely open to more. I've done a lot of research on the other ones that we currently utilize with a lot of backtest logs and all that good stuff there. So right now we have one with Ego, then we have one Bitcoin, we have two different Ethereum ones. One is like a longer trade thing, and another one's a scalp trader. We have one on AVAX and one on Sol. So we're working on all those different currencies currently, all those different tokens. But if somebody either recommends or I find one that I can do enough testing on to say, hey, this is what it actually has done or what it could do, then of course I'll be open to either putting more money into that or spreading out the different allocations. I've already changed allocations a couple times because I can kind of see which ones do better, generally speaking. So, there's things like that we are constantly evaluating. I honestly spend 8 to 10 hours to 12 hours a day in here just kind of researching different things and trying to build additional mechanisms of value for the protocol. I like doing the number stuff. That's kind of where I tend to thrive. So I'm actually blessed to be able to get to do that as also the founder here. I like to work on the numbers. So yeah, I'm always open to looking into more of that, and I enjoy it.
Well, as an accounting major, I'm very surprised to know that you like numbers. I mean, you do a lot of complex math, such as 1,000 divided by 1,000. This is exactly why you're our CEO, even though you sort of made yourself the CEO. But I think that we continue to vote you in.
Hey, 1,000 divided by 1,000 is trickier than those might think. And my economics background says that's okay. So we're good there.
There's at least 4 numbers involved.
Yeah, that's good. I like all the ideas of finance, the psychological aspect, the tangible aspect, all that cool stuff. So it's enjoyable. But yeah, I am self-appointed CEO, so shout out to me for the promotion. And guess what? I am not even the highest paid on my team. I'm living the life as a CEO as a CEO should. So shout out to that too.
Damn. You hiring?
Not right now, but maybe in the future.
I'm sure Brain would go and love it. Getting pulled onto the team. Brain, I have questions.
Yeah, you'd be dragging him into team chats all the time.
This would probably be a nightmare for him. It's for me to literally get paid to ask him questions.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, hey, I definitely appreciate you coming up here, man. I'm going to try to answer these last couple so I can get back with the fam here in a little bit. We might run this to 2 hours at most, but we might not. We will see. We are currently an hour 34 in. Shout out to that. But yeah, definitely appreciate all your questions here, man. And as always, you're always welcome. I genuinely like them. You ask great questions that everyone, I'm sure other people have them on their mind as well. So it's great for us all.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, I appreciate you, man. All right, so next questions here. I'll just try to get through them. If they're more in detail, I'll go through them. So it's all good. Okay, so next question from Crafty MJ. Will there be a way in the future to send our rebases to other wallets automatically? I'd love to create a second wallet just from rebases hands-free. So no, there won't be a way to do that. But what you can do, and what I've personally done in Rebase projects, is I'll send a certain amount to a new wallet that I just never plan on touching. So all it does is that new wallet just rebases the tokens over there. I never look at it. I think about it as a secondary rebase mechanism. It's just doing its thing over there, working hard. And then I kind of can play with my main priority wallet where I see and activate and kind of engage with more often. Mediera Alex, Shib, doesn't Solar have one as well they promote? They don't have a trading bot like that, but they do have trading bots that are kind of like what our LMS is. That's what they're advertising, I think is what you're referencing. So we will be utilizing that. It is a trade bot, but it's just a very, very defined trade bot. It's not like a Python, pulling signals and doing whatever that has to do as like a trade bot on KuCoin would be or something like that. All right. Looks like I got them all questioned there, or all the questions answered there. So shout out to you guys. I will be trying to get this uploaded as quick as possible. I definitely appreciate you all joining here it's been an hour and 36 minutes that has flown by on this amazing AMA here on our Labor Day in America, or on this Monday. September 5th, wherever you are, unless it is Tuesday, September 6th over in New Zealand and Australia. Shout out to each and every one of you. Appreciate you all joining in. Please ask us questions, engage with the chat, get involved with us here. We love when you guys blast us on socials, get those things, just tweeting out about what we got going on. We will retweet it. We will engage with you. Let us know. Get those videos out if you want, and let us work for you on this beautiful Alpha AMA Monday. Love it here. Shout out to all the community. Shout out to the team. Shout out to Ari. Shout out to everyone who's engaged with us here all day here. And we will catch you all in the chats throughout the week. We'll have a Twitter Spaces on Friday as well. So Friday at 3 p.m. UTC is our Twitter Spaces AMA. Try to catch us there. I dropped some good alpha last week on that as well, just because I got excited because it got pretty poppin'. So catch us there as well. Catch us here at these weekly AMAs on Monday. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will be chatting throughout the week. Peace out, fam.